Hey everybody, welcome again to Visually Speaking. I'm Kyle Martin, and today I have
Zyykirrah Casado. Hi.
and we're going to be getting a nice little deep dive into Z's life.
Oh, y'all nosy.
I like to be nosy a little bit. I like to be just.
No, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. So, mainly just tell me about you, and we'll just go back and forth based on whatever you give me.
Okay, I'm Zyykirrah Casado. I've been a serial entrepreneur for many years now. Damn, I'm about to be 40 soon.
What?
I know. So that means this has been 19 years I've been in business. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's definitely, it didn't always be peaches and cream.
Of course.
But I started off as a single mom. My sons at the time were about 1 and 2 when I first started getting into the world of business. I was terrible at it, completely terrible. It took me about 5 years to kind of get good at it, enough where I could actually create a living.
So what kickstarted your journey into jumping into being an entrepreneur?
I was at my kitchen table one day and I was mapping out what I needed to earn to leave my mom's house, to take care of my first son, and nothing was, I got to like $20 an hour and I'm like, this is crazy, but I didn't have any examples like in my family.
Yeah.
So then I came across network marketing. And then my first company was actually Primerica. I don't know if I should say their name or not, but they're still around. They've been around for more than 30 years. And everything they told me not to do, I did. But then I got into my second company, and that's when I really got pretty good at being able to do something part-time. Then that kind of helped me free up some time, but I was home, and then a lot of people started asking me to work from home. To watch their kids.
Yeah.
And then that became an opportunity because I was already home. I love kids. And then I learned when I was in New Jersey that people were earning an income from home by watching their grandkids. And I'm like, what? How? So then I dived into more research and found out that there was opportunities to become a home provider, child care provider rather. But how I got there was I was literally broke as hell on welfare. I don't know if I can curse. Can I curse?
You can curse.
Okay, just not big
bombs.
Not bombs,
don't go too
but
crazy.
Not bombs, but And so I was in a really bad state at the time, and learning about this, I'm like, man, this could really help fund what I really want to do, which is network marketing, sales. And later I realized that I always loved to write, but never thought of it as being, and never thought of myself as being like an author and anything like that nature.
Okay.
So that's kind of basically desperation and pressure and the want for me to be home. So like both my mom was home for most of our lives as we were young.
Yeah.
So we always had someone there cooking, helping us with homework, those kind of things. When my dad was, the breadwinner, he was a provider. Yeah. But, and they're still, still together. But I had to figure out how can I create the same world, but it's just me and the boys. So.
And when how old were you when all of this accumulated?
I had my first son, I was 18.
Okay.
I had Zaire 15 months later. So I really don't know how he got here, to be honest. Zaire is he's special. I don't know if he's stuff. But yeah, back to back. So I had Irish twins, some people call it. But they're only 15 months apart. Today Zaire's 20, Zyykirrah's 21.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was 18 and 19, and I got it started with my first company when I was just turned 18.
18?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as you went through all of your marketing jobs, or not even just marketing jobs, but all your jobs in general, like what's a takeaway or a lesson you learned from that you was able to bring into your next one, all the way up to the point where you was able to start your own business?
Well, the first company I learned to follow and be coachable, because even though I wasn't coachable, I was able to earn a couple $100, but it clearly wasn't enough And it was, to me, a harder company. We were talking about life insurance. I was only 18. No one wanted to talk to me about that. And the older people who probably needed to talk to me about it didn't, I didn't really understand that you can be successful without talking to your friends and family. Because there's like a certain point in, I think, all entrepreneurs' careers where they realize, like, you cannot depend on your friends and family.
For real.
You can't. You're going to go crazy, and it's nothing personal, but they know every time you got drunk. They know every time that you did whatever. So they don't take you as serious as people who don't know you.
Yeah. I always try to frame it as, when you're dealing with people, you have to be very understanding that not everyone, especially the people that you know are not going to be the people that's going to skyrocket you or at least push you to the next level.
Right. And it's not personal.
It's not personal. Plus, you also remember there's still people.
And sometimes it's not even that they're not supporting you because of you. Sometimes it's because sometimes they project what they don't think they can do or that they believe that they can't do. So they'll give you advice. I can't tell you how many times I heard from older people, well, you need to get a real job. You need to do this and blah, 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 because in their head, what I was doing was so foreign to them. It's like, this girl dropped losing her goddamn mind.
And it's not secure.
She got 2 kids, right? She got 2 kids. So the first company I learned professionalism. I learned a lot actually with that company. I learned about how to communicate.
That's a big one.
I learned that systems work in every arena. I mean, if you look at any Fortune 500 company, they probably have a system, Chick-fil-A, I don't go often, but when I do go, like, their drive-through just drives me crazy because in a positive, like, I love it. It's like, whoever did this is smart. And anyway, so like that, but at the time with the first company, I just did everything that they advised not to do. My second company, I mean, I did a lot, that's where I learned to travel. But both companies, the major thing that they both gave me that no one was teaching was the need for personal development. So I literally had to become a different person.
Let's talk about that. That's because that's very essential for any entrepreneur. Not even just entrepreneur, just people in general.
Yeah.
Personal development is such a crucial imperative stage of life that everybody has to go through, but especially for us entrepreneurs and marketers, especially in the world of social media, it's something that you kind of have. There is no way you can kind of skate around it. No, you can't beat around the bush with that.
No.
So share your journey about personal development.
So I was always told by my mentors, and one of my mentors used to tell us that you're never going to earn more than whatever your personal development is. In other words, yes. And then they would say stuff to us like, if you look at anyone who's like a CEO or doing well, they probably read. And then I started thinking like, well, wow, one of the things that back in the slavery time that they definitely outlawed was the ability to read. So that's a clue. So, I'm like, well, let me just listen to what they're saying and start diving into these books. That's why when I walked in here, I got excited when I saw these titles. Like, this is personal development heaven. Like, I remember my first book at 18 of personal development was Think and Grow Rich. I had to read that book like 5 times to even grasp what he was talking about because to me it was so boring.
Yeah.
And then Who Moved My Cheese was my next book. Very short, sweet. And then I'm like, okay, because at the time, I've always been a big reader, but it was like novels, like Jerome Dickey, Eric Jerome Dickey, his books. Those were all like stories.
Yeah.
But they were in personal development. But then once you get into it, I remember we used to have these things in network marketing called mental fast. We call them fast now, but I can't remember the term, what they called it back then. Where 30 days, you don't do nothing but listen to personal development. And, literally you start seeing the world differently. You start looking at things differently. Your perception changes. And that's needed because in business, you have to get good at being able to relate to people and to be able to communicate with them. But literally, I remember being on like a sales call. We would have these calls and they would like kind of critique you, like, okay, well, you said this, you could have said that. And the lady was like, the only thing I could tell you is that you sound loud and ghetto.
What?
Yes.
That's that?
Yes, I probably sound loud. When I go back, the audio is still there. If I go back, this was like, if I was 20, that was, 19 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
I do sound loud and I'm excited, but she positively pissed me off where I would go home and it was one girl that was in our company. She was the person who would come on every Monday, give the rundown, who's doing what. And she had the most perfect phone voice. And shout out to Kelly Fuller. And I started mimicking her. I started looking in the mirror. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that is all personal development where they like, well, if you want to learn something, you got to just figure out whoever is doing it. And because I have a powerful voice.
Yeah.
From Grandma Alice, she got a loud mouth, love her to death, but she has a very strong voice. But how do I project it in a way where it's powerful but not loud and obnoxious? So
it kind of reminds me of this movie that came out a while ago. It was basically about that exact same thing. I don't know if it was called The Call Center or something like that, but it was with Lakeith Stanfield, and he had to basically learn. He was a black man working in a call center marketing firm, mm-hmm. being on the phone, got to talk to all the customers. But how he normally talks was not getting the job done. It was not landing any sales, nothing. So he started. He put on what we call his white voice.
I hate that.
His white boy voice, and he just started going deal, and that was a whole movie about it. I haven't seen it yet. I actually forgot to see it. I'm gonna watch that one. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that you brought that up because one of how relatable that is, and two, it was also a lesson that I had to learn is that in order to progress, sometimes you're just gonna have to take whatever someone else is doing and just do that.
Yeah, everybody got someone they look up to, or
even if you don't look up to them, but just the fact that
what they're doing.
Yeah, like the fact that what they're doing works.
Right.
And you need it to work for whatever goal you have set.
Yeah.
So you just gotta do it, even if you don't like it. You just gotta do it enough to the point where you can understand how it works, mm-hmm. and then reformulate it to where you basically can throw yourself back in it. Yeah.
And the other thing with personal development, you have to be open to being wrong and being able to be enhanced constructively.
Yeah.
And that's why you got to be choosy of who your mentors are, because some people don't want to see you do well. But the thing I loved about network marketing is that everyone had a vested interest in you. So they're not going to tell you to go right when you should go left.
Yeah.
Because they get paid off you. So it's like, I want you to be great.
Yeah.
And even though genuinely they probably do want you to be great, when that financial piece is added to it, it's like, oh, there's some more security in listening to this person. Right. Because it's different from like corporate America, where it's like, I don't want you to get my position, versus I want you to be better because I get my 15%. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's one thing I remember. Very pivotal times of goal setting was huge. They used to tell us 80% of people don't write down their goals. And then if you don't, how they say out of sight, out of mind?
Yeah.
I believe in sight, in mind. So if you see it, then it's going to be in your forefront all the time. But sometimes if I didn't put this interview in my calendar, it's more likely I would forget. You know what I'm saying? So kind of like the same thing. So those were the biggest things I got from network marketing, was personal development, traveling. I never traveled before. Network marketing, no. And I was also young when I got started, but True. I think I was the first person in my family that got their passport, traveling out the country. That all came from network marketing,
So do you mainly travel for business?
Well, back then, we used to work during the year to qualify for the free trips, or because they used to give you trip options, car options, different
incentives.
things. Yeah, incentives for you to sell. You
Gotcha.
because network marketing essentially is sales.
Right.
So learning how to do sales was revolutionary for me, not just for business, but even for my kids, because everything in some aspects is a sale.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still working on the other. I won't go there. We'll go there later. So, you know, learning how to sell and what they taught me, I've just basically took that in every area of my life now. But definitely I got to give kudos to network marketing.
Nice.
They, you know, had some great mentors, Richard Struthers, Lorraine Brown Watkins, Kenny Watkins, Jerome, Scott, rest in peace, Jerome, and so many others.
Do you believe in silent mentors?
Yes, I have many of them.
Many of them?
Yeah, so I have on my desk and Think and Grow Rich, I learned this.
Okay.
Called, what does he call it? Not secret society. It's like basically I forget what he calls it in the book, but you take clippings of like pictures of people you admire. So I always had Oprah, Bill Gates' wife, Melinda, Steph Curry's wife, because she loves to cook. I can't think of her name right now.
Aisha,
yes.
Curry. Yeah. I love cook.
Damn it! How come I can't think of all my people? Beyonce, of course. I had to have her on there. And so they would teach you in the book to think, what do you think this person would tell you to do in this situation?
Okay.
And of course that comes with studying them too.
Right.
How can you really get a perspective of what you think they would do if you don't study nothing?
Right.
With granted, also knowing that you're only getting what they want you to see. But, you know. But yes, that's a long answer.
Well,
but yes.
Well, who knows? You may be able to meet them.
Yeah,
they can go from silent to loud.
Yes. But I do believe in silent mentors. Yeah. I believe in dream vision boards. I believe in all of that.
Vision, I grew up under an entrepreneur. I was raised under entrepreneurs. So being able to have the conversation with you and have these have certain things basically be like a confirmation. Yeah. Based on what I learned at a very young age, because when I was young, I used to take it all to that as like, okay, they're just telling me that. Yeah. And I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna just do it just for the sake of saying, okay, yeah, I did it. I'm paying attention. You can leave me alone.
You know now.
You can let me go. But like as time progressed in life, a lot of the stuff that we've learned still applies to this day. Like a vision board, like I'm actually in the process of remaking a whole new vision board. Yeah. Because it's so effective. Yeah. It's like you said, like once you see it, it's like you have this constant reminder of pushing yourself to reach certain goals. Like I even started writing more often. Yeah. Because I started learning how much more I retain information once I write them down.
Journaling is huge.
Journaling is crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And seeing how that also even etched itself into social media marketing and social media advertising and managing, journaling is such a huge help. Yeah. And I know you also do social media. You do a social media management as well.
I do.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, social media came from network marketing. At the time, the company I was with, there was a group of us. We first were called Young Guns, and then we changed our name to the Rich Before 30 group. Okay. And what we used to do, we were the younger crowd, but it was an older company, meaning the people who were a part of it was like 40, 50, 60 years old. And here we are, the 20-year-olds, bringing the different aspects. So when I first got started, social media just came about. Yeah. And so the first platform that I started marketing on was MySpace.
How many of y'all actually remember MySpace?
MySpace was something else. Yeah, old. Oh. And it's funny because I had my first marketing on there. Don't judge me.
I'm not going to judge you.
But I used to sell dental medical benefits.
On MySpace?
Yes, but let me tell you how I sold it. So I had my name on there was Your Friend with Benefits. So let me tell you this story. So one time, one of these guys that I go to church with, I won't say his name, but I remember, he hit me up like, hey, yeah, I see your name, Your Friends with Benefits. I said, oh, great. I said, so what would you like, dental or medical? That's how I would do it. Everybody who inboxed me, they would be like, yeah, I was hitting you up. I see your name. I was like, oh, perfect. But you're like, I promise you on MySpace, I signed up at least 25, 30 people. And we used to get paid residual. And that was free. And so he signed up for the top packages. I think he was embarrassed. And I think all of them who asked me, they would be embarrassed because they didn't want to be like, oh, yeah, I already knew that you sold. And on my page, you see I sold it.
Yeah.
But they didn't put the two and two together. It's like initially you see friends with benefits.
No, they went off your name alone.
Right off the name.
Off the name alone. It's like,
and
yeah,
it was
I'm in there.
Zyykirrah Casado, your friend with benefits.
He's like, perfect.
That was my first successful campaign on social media.
Not gonna lie, that marketing strategy is A1 though. I like that marketing strategy.
I definitely did some damage on there with that. So then Facebook came around, and that's when the idea came about of I can generate leads from Facebook just as well as I did on MySpace.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but Facebook was a little different. It was kind of like, you know, I wouldn't say a little more professional, but I guess more professional than MySpace. But then, of course, like you got your LinkedIn, which is, I've done pretty good on LinkedIn, but Facebook and Instagram has been probably the most I have generated leads and found prospects from.
So do you have a personal preference aside from which one is the most effective?
Probably Facebook, only because you can do anything on Facebook where you're more limited with Instagram. Mm-hmm. But both are effective. You know, even TikTok is effective. But it's like, who are you trying to connect to? You know. Right. But back then, guerrilla marketing was the ideal way, and still to this day. I don't know if you ever heard the book Contagious.
I have.
I was surprised that when I read that book, that he feels nothing trumps word of mouth. Nothing trumps. If I'm in front of you and I hand you a flyer or talk to you on the phone, and that he explains that things go viral through word of mouth, which is true. So if I go, girl, did you see that crazy old video with Donald Trump getting shot? You know, then you're gonna go and find it. Yeah. If you didn't already see it. So the way he explains that, it always reminds me that that's always the most effective in the sense of, you know, I believe like if I can get one or two people to like this post, that's equivalent to like, no. If I can give one person a flyer in their hand, that's like 25 likes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, but the time that it takes to do it, you know, you got to physically go out there. You have to be out in the streets. You have to, you know, versus I can get these 25 likes, which is basically, I just got to figure out how to times that by how many flyers it would. And that can be extremely draining too. Yeah, it can be. You talking about the like online? Like going out in person. Yeah. Doing all the pitching, all of the lead calling, setting up three-ways, setting up appointments. Oh, you know about three-ways? Yo, I know about. Hey, I know about them. Table appointments. I know about them, man. I know about them. Like I said, it's draining. It could be. It's very effective, but it can also be very draining. Mainly because you're just dealing with people. Yeah. And you know, when dealing with people, you gotta be flexible. Yeah. And dealing with people who are what they say, sharks, and some people are what's the other? Urchins. Urchins. Yes. Sharks, dolphins, urchins, and I'm missing one. I don't know why I keep thinking of whale. It might be. Yeah, I've heard whale. I've heard that as we're talking about the personality. Yeah. Personality traits. I also studied the colors, which is kind of similar, like your reds and your blues. Yeah, reds and blues. You got your yellows and greens. And then you have your blotches, which they say run away from them people for a little bit of everything. But to see what I'm saying, like these things are priceless to learn when it comes to personalities. Absolutely. Because sales, you have to understand all the different personalities, which everyone does not have the same personality. But going back to the guerrilla marketing, I think the beauty in that, being able to have that experience and now going into social media, is that you learn that the most valuable thing is your relationships you build. You know what I mean? So I think out of all the things, I still have friends. Like I just got an invite I got to actually respond to from a friend that's about to turn 50. And, you know, it's like, I can't believe I've known this girl for 20 something years, but she thought of me. And how we met, network marketing. Right. Network marketing is how I got to Raleigh, actually. You know, yeah, like we used to come out to Raleigh, build out the area, try to get more providers. The company wanted more meetings here. And so we would come every few months. And then I'll never forget, I was at Krispy Kreme Donuts. And this little boy had ran out he was standing by the car. He ran to the door, opened the door and said, "Hold on, ma'am. Let me get that door for you," all country and cute. And I was just like, that was so sweet. I was 8 months pregnant in New Jersey at a mall, and I could not find nobody to help me change my tire. That's just the difference. Like, that really made me...
What year was this?
2003 or 2002, because I had my son March 2023. You talking about, wait, at the mall?
When the little boy opened the door for
no,
you.
that was, my sons had to be like 5. So that had to be 2008, 2009. When that happened. Because I was initially supposed to move here like 2009, but then I waited and my grandma kept saying, "No, your family's here, the boys are too young."
What mall? Do you remember what mall that was?
No.
Oh, no, Krispy Kreme. You said Krispy. It was
so
Krispy
the
Kreme.
Craziness happened at the mall in New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
I'm just trying to give this difference in the hospitality, where in North Carolina, when I came, that little boy held the door. We broke down when I first moved here. We was on the side of the road for less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, you was in North Carolina when that happened.
That happened. The Krispy Kreme and the breaking down and someone actually helped in less than 5 minutes happened in North Carolina, which the light bulb went off. I want to raise my sons here because it's a little slower in the sense of you can't just walk out the house and the corner store is here and this is here. You got to actually get around to get to certain things. And that the hospitality was real here. It was a real thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which, you know, you're not gonna have no kid run in New Jersey to hold your door open. Like when you go get the one thing I do like about Jersey though is that we don't pump gas. I to this day don't like pumping my own gas. But when you give him your car, he gonna snatch that shit out your car. But when I was just there a couple weeks ago, I was like, you snatched the daggone car out my hand. But you could be neighbors with someone and not really talk to them. That's not happening here.
The only reason why I asked,
unless you around up northern people.
The only reason why I asked because that story is very similar to me because I was a boy who opened the door for a lady at Krispy Kreme. But
I ain't that much older than you. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Oh shit! I mean, I guess it could be you.
It could be.
Dag, I got you by 10 years. He was like 10 years old. So that would be really...
Yo, imagine.
That would be actually funny.
Imagine if
that had to be 2010-ish, like around that time. Because I was going to move here, but then my grandma convinced me not to. Then she passed 2012, and that's when I was like, I love y'all, but I'm out.
2010-ish. I had to be around 13?
Yeah, he was so sweet. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta move here.
We're just gonna say that wasn't me.
Right, we're gonna say it wasn't you, but it would be funny.
It would be dope if that was.
If it was.
To see how that just comes full circle.
Yeah, that's giving me goosebumps. But that's see what I'm saying? That wouldn't happen online.
No, it wouldn't.
So as much as I tell people all the time, if I wasn't in business, I probably wouldn't be online as much because it's so consuming. It's the new television. But if you're really trying to take something to the next level, which we did in that particular company, shout out to Ameriplan, I'll give them a shout out. What we did in that company, we were able to just cut the time it took to find people.
Yeah.
But you still need both. Like the 15th secret in my book, which I'll give it, is to get offline. You have to get offline because if you don't, you don't have content to create. Right. Like we're creating content, but we're also in person right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, the thing I love about social media, I feel like we're going on a tangent, but the thing I love about it is back in the day, you always had a middleman. You know, if you wanted to try different ways of marketing, you had to go through a newspaper ad. Or if you wanted to get on someone's radio show, you had to go through that company. But now you don't have a middleman. So you literally can take whatever idea you want and get it out there. A lot of people, I don't know if y'all have heard this comedian. He has like, I think he's European or like from Europe. He's hilarious, but he does a lot of dark humor. Like,
what's his name?
I can't think of his name right now. He's a really cute white guy, but he blew up from TikTok. But even though he got his notoriety, how do you say that word? You know what I'm trying to say? Notoriety.
Notoriety.
I remember just saying
notoriety.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, y'all know I went to the school of hard knocks. So I'm self-taught. No, okay. So like he blew up on TikTok, but now he's graces stages, close out shows, all of this. So what I'm saying is that you don't need the permission or you don't got to go to a Diddy party to get out there. You literally can be creative and really put yourself out there, really leverage it for your businesses. Because
honestly, the foundation has already been made for you.
Yeah.
All you really got to do is just show up at this point.
Yeah.
Just show up and do whatever. Yeah. And then people who are going to like it is going to gravitate. Now,
granted, the core principles are still the same.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to be consistent. You know, you need to have a plan.
You feel consistency is the main one that people struggle with the most?
Yeah, I think consistency is what people struggle with in everything. Yeah. You know, in other words, like, you know, in business, you have to be consistent in your marketing, but you also have to be consistent in your personal development. Mm-hmm. If you want to lose weight, you got to be consistent in not just working out, you got to eat right. You know what I'm saying? Then on top of that, if you want a good relationship, you got to be consistent in communicating and learning that person. Yeah. So I think consistency kills most things, you know, when you're not able to do it. And that's also develops discipline because the other thing that I learned, that I had to learn the hard way, is that you have to be able to do these things even when you don't want to. Even when you don't feel like it.
That's the toughest part.
Yeah.
And not only that, when every other option is right there and it's available to you.
And there's somebody who is going to get up even when they don't feel good, that is going to get those I don't know how I can communicate it, but like I feel like God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, there are certain things that you put out there. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know what this seed is going to be. Kind of like gardening, you know? And so like you put these things out there and, you know, you see like somebody blow up, like the girl Tyler Water, that song, "It Ain't Me Sweat." But when I just learned, she's been around for a while.
For a minute.
For a long time. Yeah. But something clicks and now the masses get to experience her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and you know the best consistency story that I love is the book Moby Dick. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but he died thinking his book was a failure. You know, he didn't know it blew up the way it did till after. So that tells you that even in death, if you keep putting out whatever you have inside, it can be successful after your life as long as it's out there.
And still allow time to run its course.
Yeah.
I think a lot of networkers, marketers, honestly, everybody in general, and I know I've been a victim of it, is when you have something that you feel is such a strong concept or a strong project that could produce masses or it could be just extremely successful, but over time when it's not producing the results you want, you tend to like, you tend to like become negative about yourself and you tend to just stop and give up and you quit.
Yeah.
And then people don't realize, like, if you had kept going a little bit more and just let time run its course, someone's going to pick it up.
Yeah.
I remember there was a game that became extremely popular like overnight. It was called Among Us.
Okay.
Do you remember? Do you know?
Yes.
It's about those little minions that go around the map and they got to do tasks.
I've never played it, but
Yeah, so apparently the person who made that game made it at least 10 years before it blew up.
See?
10 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one of somebody who was pretty prominent on YouTube or social media picked it up just to play it because it was free.
The power of an influence.
And then they started playing and they enjoyed it. Said, "Yo, everyone, y'all gotta get up on this game." And then
it blows up.
Multiple people pick it up, and now that turned into possibly $1 million.
So that's like Damon John said, it took him 10 years to become an overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, like, you got to think about, even with yourself, like you said, you start getting in your head, thinking it's you, all that stuff. That's where personal development comes in, where it's like, okay, it's not, this isn't working. Yeah, I used to kill Craigslist, but what Craigslist taught me was you got to be adaptable, because when I tell you, if I go back and look at all the leads I generated on Craigslist, but then they started charging. And then, yeah, like right now, for job postings, not for like, you can still go in there and post for community or gigs, but for specific job postings, that's where I would get hundreds of leads for free. So then they started charging, that kind of changed it up a little bit. You know, then the areas in which you wanted to promote, they charge more. So like, for example, if you want to do Raleigh, that might be a $25 ad, but New York would be like $75. You know, and so all the metropolitan areas, it charged more. So that's another thing I learned. Like, you had to be adaptable and quick to change. Yeah. Because, like you said earlier, you start thinking it's you are the problem, where, you know, it's you're not good enough, or, you know, and that's another part of personal development that comes in, because you have all these trauma-filled things that a lot of people don't address. Mm-hmm. And that shows up in business. That's one of the titles I gave myself in Z Global, is a business therapist. Because a lot of my clients, when we would meet and talk, it's like you're holding yourself back, not from anything to do with business, not your product, not your service. It's the belief in yourself. Which, if you believe in yourself, you're going to figure out a different way. Plan A don't work, you're going to figure out plan B, you know? Right. But that's learned behavior, I think, for most people. For sure. Yeah. But
throughout this whole journey that you've been on, I do remember how you spoke a little bit about not really thinking about writing, becoming an author, or having your own book, something like that, but you're an author now. Yeah. And you published, what, three
books, yeah. 3.5. 3.5.
3.5. What's the 0.5?
Well, 15 social media secrets used to be 10 social media secrets that pay. But, you know, as you know, social media changes like night and day. Yeah. And so when live video came, stories came. When I first wrote the book, stories was not exist. Snapchat was not prevalent enough to even talk about at the time when I wrote it. Yeah. And so these other major components that happened is why I increased it to 15. Okay. So that's why I say 3.5, because it's basically the same book but a revision. All right. And then Marquita's Lost Diary came from every Wednesday I used to just journal my thoughts. Like, I would think of something, write it out, and the reason why I did every Wednesday, because it was a suggestion, but it wasn't to make a book. And I did that for like maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And so Marquita's Lost Diary is basically 40 short stories that I came up with. Okay. And it's about my life, but then I turn it into something that's positive, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember being on a train going to actually this girl house who's having a party soon, and I had like a piece of string on my jacket, and I was pulling it, but then, you know, the fabric starts crunching up. So I was like, oh, I need a scissor to cut it. Yeah. So then I related that to relationships, that sometimes it's better to cut things off from certain people and don't ruin the entire relationship versus trying to pull at it, and now you have a ruined garment, which is a ruined relationship.
That's a good one, actually. Yeah. That's a real good one.
Thank you. So that's kind of like what you would find in that book, where 15 social media is strictly, people would ask me all the time, like, I want your service, how do you do this? How do you do that? I just didn't have time to explain it, and I understood that a lot of people couldn't afford what I charge if I coach you or if I manage your social media. So this was my way of kind of providing something for everybody in that event that they don't either have the time, money, or resources.
Understood. Understandable. When it comes to Martika, I do have a particular question that I had to make sure was written down. What were some of the lessons that Martika learned on top of the crunching of the garment?
Marquita?
Marquita, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I said
so
Marquita.
By the way, Marquita is my middle name.
Really?
Yeah, my name is Zyykirrah Casado.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what my mom was thinking, but anyway, so I love it now. But back in the day, it's like, wow, that's a lot of, But yeah, so Marquita is me.
Okay.
I mean, so many. I remember being on a bus, going to Newark, and this kid, it was like two different kids. One kid seemed so confident. One kid seemed very meek, and we were all on the same bus. But their moms were very similar to how the kid was. And so, like, it made me think of there's always relevance in what we do as parents.
Yeah.
But so many lessons. I mean, I've been through so much adversity. So, like, I'm sitting here sounding like, oh, yeah, my entrepreneurial journey was great. No, I went on trips as an investment, came home lights out. I've had times where I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. I was just not smart enough to quit.
Good.
And I just couldn't because I had these kids to feed. I had my sons. And so many other things unfolded. But Marquita really, in this book, a lot of people would find very regular things that they probably don't think that other people have experienced. On top of dysfunction, I think 80% of families in the U.S. come from dysfunctional backgrounds of some sort. And so, like, another reason why I moved was because I wanted to not reteach the things in which I knew was generational. And you get a lot of that in that book, too. Like, how do I say this politically correct so I don't get, like, messages from my parents cussing me out? I learned along the years that certain people can't give you what they don't have.
Yeah,
what I'm saying? And so that takes a lot to get through when you are trying to transition in adulthood, because a lot of people think because you're 21, you're an adult. That's not the case. Adulthood is when you're able to look at what you've been taught, take what's good, and not take on, that's a big task to not take on the generational things. And so, and that shows up in business, that shows up in life, that shows up later, and mainly it shows up in relationships. Because one of the things I learned over the years is that and sometimes even today still, you develop this knack of only thinking about business. You just do business. You're all about work. And that's kind of a disguise to thinking, oh, I'm just doing all this personal development. But personal development is one thing. Healing is another.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like I'm going on a tangent with the question, but once you get into the healing part, you don't realize it, and I believe until you get into relationships, particularly romantic relationships, but also very close relationship with friends as well. So you get a lot of that in that book, where it's kind of like things that people go like, oh, wow, I thought I was the only one, and you're not.
What would you say was probably I don't want to say favorite. I feel like favorite is probably too cliche. Probably the most effective lesson would you say Marquita has learned?
Self-love.
Self-love?
Yeah.
Okay. That's very important.
Yeah, there's a book. It's so funny. I realized as I'm doing this interview that I've always had a knack of using confrontational titles to bring out and attract. Because unfortunately, one thing we learn about social media is that most people will gravitate to negativity more so than positivity. If I post a video of me twerking, I might get some more views if I say I want to help y'all make some money. You know what I'm saying? And I learned that early on. I am not. Let me stop. And so I learned that early on. So like my absolute favorite entry in this book is called I Think I'm Gay. And so in this book, it wouldn't be as shocking today, obviously, if that was the title. Yeah. But I'll never forget, like, my mom and them called me when they saw that I posted it, and I'd, like, performed it at, like, what's those poetry things called?
Spoken word?
Oh, open word. Open mic sessions. I remember I did it at open mic, but my parents didn't finish the video. That's how I knew that you didn't finish the video.
They only focus on the clip.
Only on not just the clip, but like just the title. Just the title. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know. We still love her, blah, blah, blah. But really the whole passage or that whole entry is about me falling deeply in love with myself. Because at the end, I say, and I looked in the mirror and, oh my God, look, it's me. And so people wouldn't get that unless you read the whole thing.
Right.
And so self-love, I think, was the biggest thing I learned there, where when you value yourself, you just don't deal with certain things. You won't tolerate certain things. You won't hang certain places. You won't, it's certain things that you just will not do and certain things you will do to make sure you are taken care of. Because that's not, and then another thing I had to learn is no one is responsible for making you happy. That's something I think we grow up on, like, oh, I'm gonna find somebody that's gonna help me be happy. No, you have to be happy before you meet someone and expect them to take on a responsibility to make you happy. That's too much. That's very heavy, And so I think that's something I learned behavior, that there's not like this, unless you're looking at a higher power that will intensify your happiness.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, even if you did believe in a higher power,
yeah,
you still have to find happiness within
yeah.
yourself.
But I learned a lot. I learned in regards to who Marquita is.
Yeah.
She's like my alter ego. But yeah, you get that from that book where you kind of like read it and go, okay, I can relate to this. I've seen this somewhere in my life, and here's just a twist on how you can change your perspective of it was my goal in that book.
I like that.
Thanks.
So what about your other book, 15 Secrets?
Social Media Secrets That
Social
Pay.
Media Secrets.
Get your pocket up. It's like, now let me stop.
I love it. But let's talk about that. The 15 secrets.
So yeah, the first secret, I'll give you a couple secrets.
Give me a couple.
I'll give you a couple. I already gave y'all the last one, which was the 15th one, which is you got to get offline. You got to find reasons to create content. With the exception of, this is another thing I learned, because at one point I was obsessed with social media, where you always think right now you have to post. Where get offline, but also understand there's a difference between creating and marketing. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to be at the same time. And in some aspects, it's actually safer to wait to post later, That's on the tangent of the 15 social media secrets.
Well, I know for one, we're definitely going to have somebody who's going to watch this and are not really at the stage of being the type of marketer that they want to be.
Yeah.
So if you can, give us a little bit of a contrast between a content creating and marketing. Like, explain the difference between those two.
Well, I think they're they could be two different things, but I think a content creator is someone who collects content. A marketer is the one who is effectively getting the engagement of the people that are on the platform. And they can be one and the same, or they can be separate. So it's like, creating content is great, but the purpose of it is to get as many eyeballs and ears to seeing it, to being exposed to it. So I think they're one and the same. So like one of my secrets, the first secret is learn to talk to one person. So like because your descriptions and titles are just as big as the content, sometimes even bigger than the content. If you got a catchy, like sometimes I'll see people post little tricks. Like now I noticed a lot of marketers will purposely spell something wrong or say something wrong, which will make people, because what do we do best? A kid comes home, they got 5 A's and 1 D. They're going to focus on the D.
You're going to focus on that.
So, one of my most recent posts I did, and this was by accident, I was talking about the Wayans brothers and how I feel like they don't get enough credit on how powerful the thing that they did, to really, that's what you want to do in a family. You know what I'm saying? So I posted a tree. It had several Wayans, but it was missing people. And that's all. The post went viral because people focused on what was missing. So that was more powerful. The missing people were more powerful than the actual content, but it actually exposed them to think about how big and how amazing what the family did. I think needs to be acknowledged more.
Okay.
So So yeah, I think that's one of the same. Another secret is mind your manners is one. I think that's the third. Damn, I should know that. It's either the third or fourth secret. And when I say mind your manners, a lot of people get online and miss big opportunities of engagement because they're not minding their manners. In person, somebody says, "You look great. I love this hat," and then you give them a reaction. That's it. If it was in person, you would say thank you.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people say thank you. This whole thing, I got it in the thrift shop across the street. You're having a conversation. They're like, "Oh, you didn't have to tell me that." And now so learning how to be the same as you would in person is vital, I think, online. It's not the same, but you have to treat it as if it's the same because that's how people look at it. People look at social media as almost as relevant as real life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As long
I would say as real life.
As real life. And in some aspects it is, but in some aspects it's not. The marketer needs to know, the content creator needs to know it's not.
Right.
But knowing that everyone thinks it is, you have to be a person that minds their manners on there. If you want the engagement, if you want the interactions, which now the way Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, that's what they want. They don't want just someone who can get likes anymore. And even views. They want someone who's going to make someone talk and engage.
Right. So with the whole making sure to be offline secret, that does raise a question of how often should we post a day, especially when it comes, if the goal is especially to be monetized.
That's a good question. I say, so 10 times, the 10X book, I forgot his name right now. What can I think? Grant Cardone. He has a method called the 10X. Anything that you're currently doing, if you want to go to the next level, times it by 10. Right? Now, I'm not saying that's the particular formula. My formula is if your goal is to monetize your page, then you got to think at least breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you got to think breakfast, lunch, and dinner in different time zones. But granted, your platform is going to probably be more catered to your own platform. And also with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you also have to consider the 80-20 rule. Okay, this is the rule I'm going to give because it is revolutionary for me in business. And so the 80-20 rule basically says if I post 10 times, 8 times should be about family, recreation, family, occupation, recreation, which leads to your message. Form is what you can think of, form. And so that means no one goes online to buy, but they will buy. You don't go on Facebook and you don't go on Instagram to buy anything. Or now TikTok, because I only got caught up in that damn TikTok shop.
Yo, that shop is amazing.
That shop is amazing.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
And the stuff be exactly what it is too. So I'm like, wait, this dress fit like me?
And they come on time. They come in on time.
Now that's a whole nother topic there, because with creators, they even have the option where you ain't got to pay for it as long as you do a video. They don't care.
Yeah.
So that's the influencing in itself probably could be a book alone. But going back to that, people don't go online to buy, but they will buy. So with that, knowing that they're there for your photos. Where did you vacation? Your birthday? What did you eat? Eating, food is like the number one thing people go and watch. That's why mukbang, those things are huge. Yeah. And so knowing that 80% of the time you should be talking about the things in which people what are they there for? However, with every rule it's some way to break it in some aspects, right?
Yeah. So
the 20% posts are like, hey y'all, I'm having a live free video on this Tuesday, right? And so when you look at it that aspect, that's only 2 of the 10 posts. But then you got to figure out how to get in where you fit in. Okay? When you get in where you fit in is to learn the art of creating posts that are looked at initially as 80%, but they're actually 20% posts. So it's funny, I remember where I learned how to bend that rule was I was toasting some toast, but then I got a call. A girl who I didn't think was going to actually sign up, but she ended up signing up. Okay. So I'm taking her information, and all of a sudden you hear, So I was like, oh my God, hold on, man. Put her on hold. Obviously, because the toast was burning up in the broiler. And so I take a picture of my burnt up toast, posted it on my social media, and put, man, these are the woes of working from home. You can't make toast and try to close a deal. And people were cracking up laughing about the burnt toast. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, I think I enrolled 15 people from that post because they were curious. Yeah. Well, what do you do from home? Back then, working from home was like very foreign. It's not as foreign today. But yeah, a lot of people responded. So that's basically an 80% rule. And basically, you're talking about your business, but not talking about your business. Yeah. If you can learn how to do that, that's ideal. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if someone posts, you're on vacation, right? Mm-hmm. And you could just post, I'm at Myrtle Beach. Or you can post, man, working at home really has allowed me to travel more. Yeah. Same thing, but just a different result. So, yeah. Cool.
Let's take on monetization real quick. Okay. Especially when it comes to social media. I know the going trend is getting popular on social media so you can start getting paid for it. So another question I have is, what was your biggest lesson learned with monetizing with social media?
That when you're paying attention too much, you start not making money. Let me stop. Before they started, let me tell you this story. I posted this video and went viral, and they paid me. That was the most I ever got. That was the biggest check at the time. I think it was like $1,300. I was like, God damn, I like this. This is on top of what I'm already doing. And then I started focusing on why it worked so bad. And then my check dropped. The next one it was like $4. The next one it was $3. The next one it was $2. The next one it was $100. The next one it was $12. And so I'm like, what am I doing? I'm focusing on the wrong thing. And before, a lot of people who are naturally on there, then, and you just funny, or there's certain areas I think where people gravitate towards you. If you educate them, make them laugh, make them think, as well as food. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that kind of make people kind of follow you, And so, but what I think happened with me is, it's funny, like I remember talking to this coach once. He's like, man, we beat this #1 team, and since then we kept losing. Because you think you've made it, and now you're focusing on the wrong thing, which is the creation part. Yeah. So I think my biggest lesson was creating and trying to monetize doesn't normally work. You just have to focus on the craft and not on the check. So when you focus on the check, don't get me wrong, it's there, it's waiting for you. However, at the same time, if you're trying to monetize on platforms, they change all the time too. Yeah. Like, for example, Facebook was paying out bigger money for views. Now it's not views, now it's engagement. Yeah. And the reason they did that was because TikTok beat out Facebook in regards to how long users stay on the platform 2 years in a row. And that's why they started paying, because they had different rules. Like, you got to know the rules too. Like, some of the rules are, you cannot have that TikTok background thingy.
That little icon. Yeah. With your handle on it.
Right. Yeah. You can't have that in the video and post it on Facebook and Instagram and expect them to pay you, because they want you to create it on their platform. Right. So you got to get creative. You got to have that little repost app where it's genuinely yours. The more, now it's not just any post, the more original it is, mm-hmm. the more you get paid. But now I love the new stuff that they have, like the remix videos. You still get credit for that stuff, but you have to add to it, kind of innovation. Yeah. Like most things, Ford didn't create the car, but they have their own version. You know what I'm saying? Tesla didn't create automobiles. So you got to think of it in that aspect with remixes or sequence, which is like basically taking someone's videos and getting credit. Like, if I post a video now of us, but I make you a collaborator, you're going to get some credit from those views, which is something that's not even a year old, mm-hmm. So I think my biggest lesson is to focus on the creating part of it.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. You gotta be analytical in the sense of seeing what works. And I think the best area to learn that is through your stories. Because let's say you post 10 things in your story. You'll see the numbers. I never take the first number to heed. Because some people will press your little circle head by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first one is always your accident post. Right? You might just, right now, have your phone in your thing and it's just hitting, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't mean to look at her story, and then you don't go and look at the rest.
Yeah.
So the first post, I never get excited about, because that one's going to be the highest. That one might say 500 views. But then if the next one says 300, that's where you start gauging what's keeping them to watching your story. You're creating a story. That's another secret. I have a story to tell. So people who are storytellers that can be great storytellers through video, through audio, and through pictures, that's how you kind of analyze, well, what's keeping them here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, and you got to think like a author in a sense, or a storyteller. If I'm here and I post, oh, I went to football practice this morning, and now I post, I worked out, and then I post, I did an interview, and then that's interesting. Like, well, what else the hell she's gonna do, or what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's where you gauge it. But I'm saying, like, when you're only focused on just how I can get this check, you're not going to produce as well when you're not working on your craft.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like you get a lot more out of it when you start being genuine to
who you are.
Mainly who you are.
Yeah, like if you're on there as a personality, then that's a whole different. But you don't have to be a personality and be successful. Like, I don't know if you know that guy, but he's this white dude, and he does audios in such a way that you would want to use it for yours. So, for example, it might be like, he might say something like,
I feel like I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
I just don't remember.
And you'll probably know his voice more than you see his face. Because you go to his page and you'll see it. But it'll be something like, I'm done with chasing people to show me how to love. I am something. And it'll be short, sweet, and it's something that someone would want to use as they're shopping or as they're doing an interview or whatever. So you don't have to be front and center of you can be an introvert and still be very successful in creating those type of things online.
It's very funny you say that, because it made me think of the audios on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
Where somebody will say something from like a clip that is unrelated to whatever you're seeing. But then somebody's gonna take that snippet of that audio and then just add it to a whole different concept. Right. And then that just it goes crazy viral, and then all that money's coming in.
Right. And the crazy part is that, like, for example, there's a clip where he goes, they just mad because you ain't popping and you stopping it. And this guy is the one who created it. But now you just add it to, it don't even have to be of you and your business. It could just be clouds in the air. You know. It could
be you working out.
It could be you working out. It could be anything. And that's where the difference of a content creator, which you asked earlier, and a marketer. Because a marketer can take almost any video, any concept, and make it relatable to your respected industry. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a florist, and I'm trying to get it like to come to me what I'm thinking, but if you're like a florist and it's a famous TikTok day, I'm trying to think of something that we all know. Like, help me think of something we all know off the top. Okay, you know that video where that's my man. Yeah, I'm gonna stick beside him. Yeah, that's my man. I'm gonna stick beside him. So if you're
that came from Dr. Phil.
Yeah, it came from Dr. Phil talking about, you sure that's your man?
Like,
that's my man. That's him.
This is
I'm gonna stick beside him. Now a marketer would take that, even as a person who sells flowers, and say, yeah, this your man. It could be a picture of some ferns. It's dying. Yeah, that's my man. But I'm gonna stick beside him. And it could say, sell on ferns, something. And it's still using that content, using that concept, but it's getting the message across for your industry. Yeah. We all have different industries.
I like that. That was great.
Yeah.
I hope y'all are taking notes because she's dropping a lot of gems out here.
Yeah.
For free.
Right.
For free.
For free.
Imagine how much what you'll get if you pay for it. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll drag you across the mud. You might not. I always tell my clients too if they ever book me for coaching. You know what my favorite thing is though?
What is it? Tell me.
Public speaking.
I figured.
That's I love. Well, thanks. I try. I love connecting one-on-one with people, but I do like not one-on-one in the sense of like coaching. I love coaching too, but it's nothing like being in a room full of people who get inspired. It's awesome. So book me for public speaking too. If you know somebody, let them know. Because COVID stopped that a lot. You know, when COVID hit, you had to transition to Zoom. You had another reason that book, Who Moved My Cheese. Did I ever mention that? I think
earlier when we started, you mentioned.
So that book taught me how to be quick to change.
Okay.
It's a short and sweet book. I highly recommend it. But when you're quick to change, you know, that's what happened a lot of us on COVID. You know, if you wasn't quick to change, you probably fell apart in COVID, you know. But that was one of the transitions. We switched to Zoom. We used to do less meetings. And now I do like maybe half of what I used to do public speaking. But I would like to do it more now that we're not scared to. My last gig was right before I had surgery.
Okay. Back
in August. And I'm lying. I did one right after also. About 6 months. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Nice. So, Fortune 500, you got to speak to them.
Oh yeah.
How was that experience? Tell us about the experience.
Speaking to the different companies well, the same company I used to do healthcare with, they basically started utilizing my methods or having me speak and teach the whole company. And then that led to other companies as well. I mean, it was invigorating because I used to suck at public speaking. The first time I ever spoke in front of a crowd, I choked, and it was in front of somebody who I think was a hater. And I couldn't talk, I swear. It was like, the girl said, she was like, and all I was doing was supposed to give a testimony about how this midwife program I was using was really helping me as a single mom. That's all I had to talk about. And I was just like, but I used to have these.
Was it the nerves?
Huh?
Was it your nerves?
I don't know what the heck it was. It was like my nerves. It was like everything went black.
Really?
Yeah, I was so petrified. And it was like, I started sweating. And then the lady put her arm around me and was like, it's all right. She really enjoys the program. And then everyone started clapping. And I could see the other girl in the audience laughing.
Like, I got her. I got her.
That good. And so then later, I started doing it more when I got into network marketing, and I had to present, doing presentations, and then that led to me actually speaking on those stages. It was invigorating. It was amazing. It was fun. It was awesome. Yeah, nice. I love doing it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing what else you have
in store, right?
In store to show to the world, man.
Thank you.
You've been doing really good.
Thanks. I try. I definitely try. It's not. It's like a gift and a curse, because as a kid, this is actually funny. I used to always think like, well, how long are we gonna be here? I overthink sometimes. And in some cases it's good, in some cases it's not. I used to have anxiety about when am I going to die? You know what I mean? And so I always would try to work like a madman, but now I'm learning to rest.
Thank you.
For sure. And I do feel like I'm just getting started with things, if that makes sense. It's like, even though 40 is right, can I believe that? I just can't believe I'm saying that. But 40 is right around the corner.
I would never have known.
I know, thanks.
It looks good on you.
Oh, thanks. You're going to have me blush. But, it's like interesting, but it's a different perspective when you get past. Because once you hit 30, you're going to start looking like, damn, this is going fast.
Yeah.
And then, like, getting to 40, it's like, man, you're not here that long. My goal is 107. That's my goal. I don't know why that number keeps popping up. I would love to be here that long, God willing. And so, it's so much that we can do, especially with the world of social media. But let me just say this about social media.
Let's go.
Don't just let that be your only means of connecting with people. Because remember that one time when Instagram was like offline, people were going crazy?
Yo,
Facebook went crazy. You always need to have a CRM. You need to have something that collects data that you have access to on a consistent basis in the event that happens. Not saying it's going to happen. I don't foresee it happening.
Yeah.
But just in case, you always want to have a way to connect. And the last thing I'll say is that you got to be adjustable to times, because back then, you know, an email was ideal. You know, collecting emails were ideal, but most people don't open emails. I think it's 30% now.
Really?
I think it's like, it's less than 50%. It's 90% with DMs on social media, and it's about 75% with text messages in regards to getting able to connect to that person the fastest.
What about phone calls?
Text outweighs phone calls.
Aside from texting, like what's the percentage for phone calls?
I think phone calls, if I remember right, was like 60, 70. It's as effective, but not as effective as text. You know, like when someone don't pick up, you send them a text.
Yeah.
They might say, hey, I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. In regards to leads and prospects, for some reason, the DM, that's another rule in there. It goes down in the DM.
Yeah.
But for business, there's a specific thing I talk about in there in regards to, if y'all notice online, really good networkers or lead people try to generate leads, they'll post something online, but you'll see all them always, if it's them offering information, they'll usually say, check your inbox, check your inbox, check your inbox, check your inbox. The reason they do that is because if they put the information here, now you don't need them.
Yep.
So even if you don't comment, I want the information in that thread or in that post, they usually will at least inbox you, hey, can I get the information?
Yeah.
So that's just what I mean by it goes down in the DM.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, Z, we could be sitting here and talk for the rest of the day.
And passing out.
The crazy part is I would be so floored to pass out too.
Right.
Because I'm just absorbing so much knowledge from you, and I appreciate that.
Thank
but
you.
No
problem.
I know you have time slots.
Yeah.
And I know you got to meet certain things, so I'm gonna have to let you go.
Oh,
I don't want
okay.
to. My heart.
Well, I've definitely enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. Anyone want to follow me? It's most of my platforms.
Yeah, let them know the best way to get.
Which is my name is Zyykirrah, obviously, and you can find me on all social media there. But our website is zglobalmedia.com. So anything about our events, free classes, coaching, public speaking is all on zglobalmedia.com.
Okay. Until next time.
Love, peace, and hair grease. Bye.
And that's it for y'all, Visually Speaking.